Hello everyone and welcome to day one of Hatching at Home. My name is Carly West and I am the new 4-H and Youth Development Agent here in McLennan County. I work for the Texas A&M AgriLife Services, and so I work a lot with schools doing in-school curriculum and our 4-H programming, where there's a variety of projects that our students and our participants can do. Normally, we would do this program in the classroom and call it Hatching in the Classroom. But since we are in quarantine and schools aren't in right now, we're going to be doing our hatching virtually, and I'll be doing it at home. So during this project, I will be taking you every step of the way from our eggs to our chicks. So today we're going to talk about our incubators, what an incubator is, how it works, the parts of our incubator, and then we're going to place our chicken eggs into the incubator so that you can see the first steps of how these eggs are going to turn into our chicks. So let's talk about our eggs real quick. So this is a chicken egg. And these are fertile chicken eggs, which means that they are already fertilized so that they're able to harvest a chicken. If we look at our eggs, we have this rounded top end and then a pointy bottom end. Some incubators specifically require the eggs to be placed in a certain way, so whether their point is facing inwards in the incubator or laying a certain way. Ours is pretty simple, so they'll just lay in there together, but we'll get to that in a minute. And I had 30 eggs, so I had 2.5 dozen, and I kind of went through and culled some of the eggs. So this means that I took some out because I can't hatch out all 30. And I decided which ones looked, the most uniform. So this egg right here is a really good looking egg. It's very uniformly shaped. And then this is one that I took out. So you can see that it's a little bit shorter, a little bit rounder, and I just took this one out just because this one might have a better chance of hatching than that other one. So the 18 eggs that I did pick out are all pretty much the same shape and size, and I think that they're going to have the best chance of hatching. So all of my eggs are pretty clean. Where I got them, a facility that sells these eggs makes sure that they're pretty clean. It's okay if they're not, but it's going to help the turner inside of the incubator, which we'll talk about here in a minute, a little bit more to do its job. If any of these were dirty, I would just take a paper towel, kind of wipe them off, not with water, just a dry paper towel to get any hard dirt or anything off of them. And the reason that you don't want to take a paper towel to them or wash them is because our eggs here, they have the shell, and their shell has kind of a membrane around it that protects the inside and the baby chicks from any bacteria or anything in the environment that is harmful. So let's talk about our incubator here. So my incubator is a little bit older, but it still works just as good. This is the Magic Fly Auto Egg Incubator, and this is the top. So when you're incubating your eggs, especially at home, you always want to read your manual before you start anything. And in my manual, it tells me about what each part is, what they do, and how to put it together. So this, we'll start from the bottom. This is the base of the incubator. When it comes time, we're going to pour water into the bottom of this to create the humidity that's going to help the eggs on the inside stay nice and moist and not dry out while they're in the incubator. This is one of the trays with rails. And it says rails because it has these little rails on it that sit inside of the incubator. And this just elevates it above the water because you don't want your eggs to drown. When it comes time for hatching, I will take this part out and I will lay the eggs in the bottom of this so that they have plenty of room to hatch and have baby chicks in. Now on top of my grate with rails, I'm going to put this. And this is the movable egg tray. So when I lay this in here, it's going to sit in here like this, and this is where I'm going to place my eggs. And when I place my eggs in here, I want to make sure that they have lots of room because this is going to move and rotate our eggs. And the reason it does that is because if this were a real chicken laying eggs, she would sit on her eggs. You know, she would probably lay about an egg a day or 4 to 5 a week. And once she gets a clutch of eggs, probably about 8, she's going to gather them all up, and then she's going to sit on them. So the ones in the middle that she's sitting on are going to be the warmest because she's giving her body temperature to the eggs. So a couple times a day, she's going to get up and move all the eggs around so the ones on the edges of her pile have already cooled off. They're not getting as much body heat. She's going to move them to the center and make sure that they get just as much warmth. So that's what our egg turner is for. So we're going to place the eggs in there where they have enough room to move around and all get heat dispersed to them. And then we put our lid on. And so if we look at our lid, it has a control box right here. And this is where I am able to control the temperature and the humidity when we are hatching out our eggs. Another important part about the top is, especially on this incubator, is this right here. And it has this little prong on it. This little prong is going to sit inside of our turner in this slit. And that's what's going to be able to turn our eggs for us, so that we don't have to worry about it. And then about day 18, when our eggs are getting ready to hatch, we'll take the turntable out and we will move those chicks or the eggs down so that they have enough room to hatch. And then this prong will just be at the top, out of the way. So now we have our lid on, plug it into the top, and then the control panel will light up. And so I'm able to set the temperature for the eggs. So some important hatching factors for our chicks is we want to keep our incubator at 100 degrees Fahrenheit at all times. And we don't want to change the temperature very often and make any massive changes to our eggs so that they stay in that comfortable temperature. We always want to make sure our egg rotator is functioning. I've already checked mine and it's good to go. And if you don't have an egg turner, if you're doing this at home, my advice is to take your egg and mark an X on one side. So you'll start where that X is and you'll rotate your eggs 3 times a day so that they're able to stay warm each side. We also want to make sure that there is enough humidity in here. So this incubator for days 1 through 18, we're going to make sure that there's a 4th cup of water in the bottom of our incubator. And we're going to check on that water about every 2 days to make sure that there's still enough adequate water in there. And if there's not, then we'll replenish it. And then days 18 to 21, we're going to put about a 3rd cup of water and start lowering that humidity a little bit so our chicks are able to dry out once they come out of their eggs and we move them into their brooders, which we'll talk about later on in the series. So on average, it's going to take about 21 days for our chicks to hatch. Some may hatch early, some may hatch a little late, but we're going to remove the eggs from the turner on day 18 so we make sure that they're not moving around in there while they're trying to come out of their shells. So that's the basis of our incubators in our eggs, and a little bit about our program. So I am actually going to have 2 of the same incubators. We're going to put anywhere from 6 to 9 eggs in, and we're going to try our hardest to get these little chicks hatched. So I hope y'all enjoyed this. I'm going to post some activities on the page that go along with the beginning of our program, and then I'm also going to be posting parts of the egg, and then our fertilized and not fertilized eggs, so you can learn a little bit more about what's in these little guys. So I'm really excited to post more videos about these topics, and you may see me, and you may see some other agents from around the state. A lot of other counties are doing this program online right now, and so I'll have a lot of great resources from seasoned agents that have been doing this program for many, many years that have really fun activities that follow along with this program. So I hope you enjoyed your first few lessons, and I will see you next week.